All right. Welcome back, everyone, to Augment, the next episode. This one's on my channel, I believe. Don't forget to go subscribe to TSG's channel. Everyone's stuff will be in the description down below, as you guys know. I will introduce them in a minute, but we have to get a few major things out of the way first. First disclaimer is this is pre-recorded. You will know that since there's a premiere down below. Unfortunately, times and things didn't line up, but we definitely really wanted to have these guys on the channel. And there's a lot going on. So just a heads up, if any big things happened in about 7 days, then we missed it. The next thing we should say is right after this, there will be a live community event. This will happen mostly in the Discord. We'll also have it streaming on YouTube, but you won't be able to really participate on YouTube. We'll be doing the game Jackbox for those that are familiar. If you're not, jump in the Discord chat. We will chat with you. Down here will probably be in live chat as well because it'll be a premiere. So definitely excited to have that. There's $600 in prizes to give away. 600, right?
500
$500 in prizes to give away. The other event we have running at the moment is our Find the Illuvial giveaway. In the Augment Clips channel, again, in the description, you can go through and watch all those videos. In one of them from this past month, okay, there is going to be an Illuvial in the past month. Now, there's still a couple more to go in June, so maybe it's in the future ones, but if you find that Illuvial, shoot me or TSG a DM. We'll also have pinned comments and stuff on Twitter kind of explaining the rules. And there's $1,000 in prizes to give away. So do that. Not only the first person to DM wins, lots of people win. Okay.
Absolutely.
So
also sponsor.
Big thanks to Illuvium again for sponsoring the channel. We don't know what news is going to be coming up. I'm going to guess that the Overworld leak is out. Go check that out. It's going to be in the leaks channel, announcements channel, probably on the Illuvium channel, maybe.
And
we don't know where it's going to be.
We'll probably have videos about it as well.
I'm going to assume it's going to be floating around. Go check that out. It's going to be awesome. Okay.
Awesome.
So, do you want to introduce them for me, TSG?
Yeah. So what's good, guys? Today we have Zeptile and Frobay with us. Both of them amazing players, and they're pretty well known in the community already. But by the way, before I throw it to them, this is another disclaimer. My pizza just came, so if you see me eating, don't hate me. I do want to eat it before it gets cold. But yo, I'll throw it to you guys, Zeptile. I'll throw it to Zeptile, and you can kind of give a rough introduction to yourself, kind of just introduce yourself and say what you want to say there.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Zeptile. I come from first the Pokemon community, then I made some TFT as well. I coached pro players in TFT, and now I'm on Illuvium after reaching top leaderboards quite a few times, pretty consistently. Right now I'm opening Illuvium.coach in collaboration with Frobay here, my partner, and longtime friend as well.
Frobay.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. This is going to be a bit more of a relaxed conversation.
It's fine. Yeah, sure. In case you don't know me, I'm a content creator on both TFT and Illuvium. I mean, I started TFT, of course, 2 years, almost more than 2 years ago now, I would say. My channel has like close to 20k subscribers right now, and I'm specialized in actually making educational content. So when I joined Illuvium a few months ago, I decided to do the same thing as I did in TFT, helping people to reach high rank in leaderboards when it will be available, of course, for everyone, and try to help people just enjoy the game, get better at the game, and have that dopamine after beating someone on the ladder, right?
So, can you guys talk to us just really quickly about kind of like, you're probably still in TFT, but if you're not, why did you leave TFT to move over to Illuvium and things like that? Do you feel like there's a dead end there that Illuvium can help replace?
Honestly, I left TFT. Like even now there's a new set being released. I probably have less than 20 games on it. I really don't enjoy the game anymore. Don't get me wrong, I still think the game is good. I just don't have time to invest both on Illuvium and my private life and another game like TFT that if I'm playing TFT, I would be willing to get competitive on it, and I don't have time for it, honestly.
Yeah,
and you Frobay?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm still making videos on TFT, right? Because it's like my main channel, it's my main focus as a content creator. As a player, though, I just like Zeptile, I don't play that much. I just play in order to keep my level at bare minimum to be able to make content out of it. As a competitor, I kind of disagree with how the competitive scene is in TFT. Like there's too much RNG. They like to try to make the game more and more casual. So it's actually really fun to play if you play as a casual player, but as a competitive player, it's worse and worse every time. I mean, every time they make a big change, like a new set. And I really feel like Illuvium is taking the pain points and removing them. And that's how I see it as Illuvium for a competitive player.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Agree.
Frobay, I actually want to ask. I don't know if I should ask this or not, but I do want to ask anyway. Obviously, you've got the Illuvium channel and the TFT channel. Do you ever see a point in the future where you're gonna leave one of them and focus solely on the other, or do you think you're always gonna try and find a way to balance both?
I personally, my goal is like whenever Illuvium starts to get open beta, access to everyone, getting big, having audience, I just think I'm going to be 100% on Illuvium. Like it takes way too much time to be on both games. Like Zeptile said, this is very time consuming, and if I wanna, I don't know, I prefer to be the best at doing something rather than being good at two things.
Yeah.
Right. So right now I'm in the latter situation, but I prefer to be like, if possible, to focus only 100% on Illuvium when there will be a lot of engagement, people playing the game, and people who will need to have this kind of content as well.
Yeah. Nah, fair. All right.
Floating
So
mic is killing me. The floating
what?
mic.
Oh, the floating
I can't
microphone?
do it.
Always, yeah.
I can't do
Wizardry,
it.
wizardry.
All right.
And the phantom share.
Yeah, the phantom chair.
All right. So I want to ask, obviously oh, Jesus, that's not what I want. Okay, Scoriox, this is your screen, so you can move about, but I'll ask the
Yeah.
question. So obviously you guys have like I said, we've mentioned before, you guys have built a really strong reputation in the Illuvium community already as top tier players. Frobay, you won that one competition already. Zeptile, you've ranked highly pretty much every day that you've played. And so you guys have now turned your sights onto this, onto a coaching business that you guys are doing together. I want to throw the ball to you guys, and I want to ask, how did this idea come to be? Um, who was the person that birthed the idea? Who came to the other person? Was it a mutual thing? Just kind of talk to us about the story of how this Illuvium.coach came out to be. I don't know who wants to take that answer. If it's Zeptile, do you want to take the lead on this one?
Yeah, basically, I've always knew that I wanted to be doing some coaching on Illuvium just because that's what I enjoyed the most in TFT as well. I kind of considered that my own esports career is over, and now I just share my experience. So I was looking just for options, and as some of you know, I was in a guild before. It was one of the plans we had. Obviously, it didn't make it, but when I left, I was not in a mood where I could just say, okay, it didn't work, it's over. No, I just said, okay, if it's not working with them, I'm gonna make my own thing happen. We spoke with Frobay. He also had his own interest on doing this. We definitely felt like the community was asking for it because we both had a lot of demand in our DMs for coaching sessions. So yeah, it just came up like that because we just basically speak every day. We just saw that people wanted it, so and we were willing to do it as well. So it was just like a win-win situation for everyone.
Yeah, actually, I want to just jump in before we move on a bit more because you mentioned like your time in esports, your esports career. You said it's over. I don't believe that, but I'm actually curious to know what was your esports career. And same with Frobay. What gives you the qualifications, I guess, to do this?
Okay, so about my esports career, I started doing real esports like major tournaments back in 2010 when I went to the Pokemon World Championships for the first time. Then I went to the Pokemon World Championships a second time in 2016. In the meanwhile, I've been a writer for video games websites. Then I competed a little bit in TFT as well before I get hired as a coach, because I actually was already willing to kind of leave the competitor aspect to a more sharing experience aspect of esports, because I don't know, like at some point when you already did world championships, you just don't have that hunger anymore, and you already know the sacrifices it requires you to do, and maybe you're not willing to do these sacrifices anymore. So that's actually just where I stand now. I don't see myself putting the effort to be constantly a top 1 player anymore, but I can definitely just see myself bringing the experience I got for more than 10 years now in esports to help other players feel their dreams, because esports is a dream for everyone, for a lot of people, and I want to help those people.
Yeah, 100%. And what about you, Frobay? Because you've said that you have been a top TFT player. How long did it take you to get to that point? How long have you been playing TFT? Is that the only kind of game that you've focused on in regards to esports? Kind of talk to us in that aspect.
Yeah, usually I'm kind of player who likes to play a game for 1 month and then drop it. I like to. I always been like this, and TFT was the only first game where I actually played the game like for years. Like, so at that time when TFT was launched, I was still working in a company, so I was like playing TFT casually. But I started to really like it compared to other games, so I started to try to play, and get better and better. Then after I had to move from job to another one in another country, so I kind of stopped at this moment. I was just too busy. And then after there was the COVID situation for everyone, right? So like suddenly I had to work from home. But you know, like when we have multiple screen and we work from home, we put a stream, right? And I was watching TFT again at this moment, so I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Actually, I want to make content. I want to be good at the game. I want to, you know, entertain and educate people about this game. So I started it. It took me like quite some months to actually understand how YouTube works and everything. Make content like right now. I cringe out so much on my first videos, like every content creator does. But it's part of the process, right?
Yeah.
And then after, like, I was still stuck on TFT, like just Diamond, which is good, I guess. Like it's good, right? But it's not top player at all. And then after, like, I decided to focus a bit more about getting better at the game, right? So I started to rewatch my videos, try to observe a lot of good gamers. And in 1 month, I managed to climb from Diamond, very outstuck, to like Challenger, top 100 Europe. It took around 1 month because I understood a lot of things I didn't understand before. And then after, thanks to that, I managed to make more better and better educational videos explaining things about how to play the game, deeper mechanics, understanding. And yeah, if you ask me like what I did achieve with this, I would just say like I think my biggest achievement is like I managed to help hundreds of players to reach master, which is like top 1% of the rank. Thanks to the videos, and I think this is where I take the most pleasure, is like being able to, I don't know, like when someone DM me like, oh, Frobay, I managed to hit master for the first time. I'm super happy, you know, and that's the kind of stuff I did on TFT, and that's the kind of stuff I want to do on Illuvium. And this coaching session as well is like my goal is to make sure that whoever follows my YouTube channels or take a coaching session with, and it's the same for Zeptile, right? Coaching session with us. Like we want this guy or this girl, it can be a girl, of course, this person to just feel better, get better at the game, and feel like they have improved.
Yeah. All right. So can you guys break down some of the services that you guys are providing? Because obviously you guys say coaching, but that's a pretty broad answer. So like, what does the coaching entail? What kind of packages are there? If you guys could just break that down. Do you guys have the same packages for each of you, or do you guys offer different packages? Like, kind of break that down for us.
Basically,
Zeptile, go.
Yeah. Basically, what we did is, I took because Frobay was drinking. Sorry.
Sorry.
So basically, the way we've done this is just like if we were two different freelancers that each of us just made our own pricings and offers on our own side, obviously we discussed about it a little bit just to take some input, but in the end it's each one's decision and each one's branding as well, because even though we are a team, somehow we are almost competitors, so yeah, we just did it each one our own way. We also don't have the same time to allocate to this, um, so yeah, just and different ways to work as well, I guess. So
Yeah,
this is
I think
what we did.
I
Yeah.
think you're both your own people in the community, right? So I like the idea that someone can choose who they want to talk with, and maybe they have a different preference for either one of you, because you guys you're both very good at TFT and auto battlers, but you're still very individual. I think your coaching styles, from what I've seen already, are quite different from each other, and everyone appreciates a different coaching style for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
actually, the way we just put the offers that where we feel the most confident about. For instance, like personally, because I've been making content videos on TFT and help many casual players, I feel like I'm better at explaining things casually. While Zeptile, on the other hand, he worked with a esport team to coach professional players, like very like he knows how to take someone who's good at the game to make it one of the best player, and that's how we kind of specialized ourselves. But of course, he makes beginner friendly coaching session. I also make coaching session for people who are already good at the game and want to take to the next level. It's just like the way we present our offers, the way we design the things. It's just like how we are, right? Because that's it. We don't have a, let's say, a standard where we both have to do exactly the same thing. It's just like we are different entities, different people, and we just coach the way we feel like the best.
I think a topic we really have to cover here, and we don't necessarily have to have the lens of the Illuvium.coach business, but we need to discuss the Leviathan Arena, because TFT has its esports scene. You can earn money from competitions and tournaments and that sort of thing. Illuvium has the Leviathan Arena. For anyone that isn't aware, basically, I mean, it's kind of like gambling, not financial advice, but basically, you put up cryptocurrency, and you both bet the cryptocurrency, and the winner takes all, right? For the
Hmm.
most part, that's the simple version of it.
Yeah.
It does start to get interesting because your alluvial statistics and stuff play into effect. For anyone that's familiar with the Pokemon, their stats can be from 0 to 31 different values for each stat. So there's like you got like 5,000-6,000 combinations at least for any individual Pokemon, and that extends across to Illuvium, of course. Actually, it's much more than that. It's like millions of combinations. So that all plays a factor. Do you think you'll be able to help people? I don't want to say profit in the Leviathan Arena with your coaching. Obviously, there's other elements at play here, but would you? I mean, in your experience playing the game, do you think the amount of skill the game takes will play a big enough role to help people do well in the Leviathan Arena, regardless of their team?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I mean that's also what Kieran, Aaron, Grant have been saying since the beginning. They really want that the skill expression is high. So even if someone has, let's say, a better team on the paper because it's more expensive because they have better stats, if that guy executes it poorly, he will lose against someone who has a way cheaper team, but just that plays it correctly. So I think like the way we see it right now, of course, it's not relevant at the present, but in the future we will of course help people to play the auto battler, but we're also both very good theory crafter. We know how to build a good team and this kind of stuff. So this is something we will see in the future, of course. But if we see that there's a demand of people like, hey, okay, I have this, I have this, I have this, how do I complete, what should I do to complete my team in order to have a good, well-rounded team? And we can be like, okay, this option available, and then after we can go into coaching how to play with this deck, because this is also the most important part. If you buy the deck but you don't know how to play it, you're not gonna win with it. That's how we believe the game will be. Of course, this might change. Only future will
Yeah.
tell us. So we
If we
will
translate
adapt.
to card games or even to Pokemon, the fact that you have a top meta deck or team actually doesn't make you win just by magic. You actually need to know what your win conditions are, how to in this game, how to position yourself, what to look at for what threats could be a problem for you, and how to play around them. Like that's a lot of knowledge that we will be able to bring to people afterwards. Just about the question, do we think that we're going to be able to help people make profit out of Leviathan? I would say 100% yes, just by the simple fact that both Frobay and I actually helped people get into to the top 1% or even better at TFT, where it's for most of them, they still didn't get anything out of it because top 1% in TFT just gives you peanuts. It gives you an emote at the end of the season.
Yeah, you don't earn money in TFT.
Right?
That is true.
But technically, in Leviathan, as long as you have a 51% win rate, you're still making profit, right?
Nope,
so,
not right.
I mean,
it depends on how much money you put on each battle.
yes,
but let's
but
say you put
assuming
the
you
same
bet the exact same thing on every game.
You have to deduct the rake. The house will take some.
What?
If the house
that's
takes
not-
5%, then you need like 56% win rate.
Okay, yeah, okay, still. Okay, so you need to be basically on the top 44% of the players. It's way easier, actually, I feel, to bring people to the top 44% than bringing them to the top 1% or 0.1%. So, yeah.
It's the, but I think this is actually what I wanted to bring up. But firstly, the Leviathan Arena player base is a different player base. You'd have to assume that they're already the top 10%. So now you need to be the top 44% of that 10%. You know what I mean? And then you're in the top 5. Yeah, you're in the top 4.4%, which is still pretty good. But what I wanted to talk about is I think the Leviathan Arena meta will be really, really different. Okay? And what I'm talking about here is when you have poker, for example, a poker meta, it changes depending on the type of game you play. You go to a tournament and it's a cash game, or it's a multi-table game, or whatever it is, and the players play completely different because of the way it's structured. As soon as you add money to the mix here, the structure changes a lot, statistics and stuff as well. I don't know how they're going to play, and I bring this up because I think you guys are going to be the ones to tell people. But my guess would be that people potentially play more conservative, try and last a bit longer, read out their opponents a bit longer so they can make one big play or something like that. I don't know how do you guys think they might play? What about you, Frobay? How do you think people might play differently?
I mean, my experience is mostly with TFT, right? And I could say like between the ladder, where you can play whenever you want, and tournaments with like top players, it's completely different. And even if there's cash prize and money involved, like in ladder, actually you have two people who are watching Netflix at the same time in the lobby. You have two other people who are actually, I don't know, fighting with a cat on the keyboard. So it's kind of easy, you know, to always like be, if not winning, like top 4 or something like this. Because in TFT you have 8 players playing at the same time.
Yeah.
In tournaments though, like everyone is 100% focused, and you have a lot of kind of degens, I would say. We call that degen actually as well. It's not from crypto, but we also call them degen. Like they would be super aggressive, play super strong, and you're like, you have to keep up with that pace. Or sometimes they will just all be super greedy. And if you are the only one aggressive and they're all greedy, you lose, because actually you have to adapt yourself with the gameplay of the 7 other players. So I think like, and definitely I can definitely see Leviathan and ranked arena completely different meta, just because for instance we don't have the same illuvials, so it will take time actually to kind of make the same decks. And or I can see also the psychology behind the players, just like, oh, I put, I don't know, this amount of money, I really don't want to lose it, and I'm going to play conservative. Or otherwise we can also see someone who's completely degen, like, I don't care, I'm just going to play aggressive, and the idea is always to try to adapt yourself about the playstyle of your opponent and try to understand, like, okay, what he does right now doesn't seem like a right move because maybe he wants to play too aggressive. How do I respond to that? And you as the player, you have to be able, because now it's 1v1, right? So you have to really adapt against the person you're playing. And I think that's one of the key part of winning in Leviathan.
Yes.
I do just kind of want to add as well. For those that don't know, Leviathan isn't, you don't have to to put ETH to play in the Leviathan. So they are going to have the option where if you just want to battle it out without having the ETH, just using your actual stats for the Illuvials, you can still play that meta without the ETH. But if you do want to play the ETH, you have that side as well. So I don't want people to kind of feel like, yo, if they don't have ETH or they don't want to go in the degen route, they can't play that with the stats. Because personally, for me, that's where I really want to go. Because that's what incentivizes me to go for the marketplace and trying to get the better Illuvials, right? I still want to play it. I am going to degen a bit. That's obvious. But I mean, not all the time. But I'm definitely more keen on the like relevant stat battles than just the balanced arena. That's just me. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there in case people that don't know that.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah,
I feel like the difference between Leviathan and ranked mode Ascendant Arena is the game they gave to it. There will be obviously very different metas, just not really on the play styles. I don't feel like people will necessarily be more conservative or whatsoever. From my Pokemon experience, I can say that people that are just aggressive as a play style in that kind of situations, like in a tournament setup, they will just become even more aggressive, and it will just depend on the play style of each person. But obviously, people will be way more focused and way more serious. Like, you will see less troll decks in Leviathan than in Rankeds. In Rankeds, I could see someone just saying, "Oh, what about if I make a deck around Kuka, and I play Kuka for 100 games and see how it plays?" That kind of things can happen in Ascendant Arena, even though maybe they don't go very high in the ladder, but people will still try it. But in Leviathan, if people do so, they really stay like at the floor of the ranked, because we know there's a ranked in Leviathan as well.
Yeah.
And most games will be very, very serious and solid meta comps, I expect. So people just on their behavior will be more serious, but on the play style, it will just don't make much a difference. I think.
Yeah. I think the having multiple of the couscous chicken line is a very good strategy. I think people are going to sleep on that. I think the unlimited stuns is exactly the way to play it. So max out as many couscous chickens as you can, get an army of chickens, and that's the way to win.
Approved.
I'm looking forward to.
Yo, coach approved. Coach approved.
I'm looking forward to seeing you getting on tournament with your couscous lineup. That's going to be fun.
I'm absolutely going to put 3 Scoriox at the back.
I have two plans already. I have the couscous lineup and the sacrificial snaily lineup. Those two I know are definitely going to work, and I'm going to die by that.
I think we have 2 people who need coaching right now.
Yeah, and that's why we have you on. That's why we have you on.
No. To be 100% honest, the couscous line is actually one of my favorite Illuvials so far, and gameplay-wise, just because I feel that they have a very high skill expression. Keeping it alive and getting the cast on the right units is actually game-changing. About the 3 Scoriox, though, I'm not sure it's worth it.
My idea is better than yours, Scoriox.
How dare
This being said,
nobody.
playing snail is never a play. So.
Oh yeah, you hate the snail. All right.
Yeah.
Yo, well, actually, at the end of this, I actually want to ask you guys for like maybe your top 3 or top 5 Illuvials. I think that'd be a cool way to end this off at the end.
Sure.
But yo, I want to dive in into I want to just touch on something that you mentioned before, and it's something that I've been curious about. So you mentioned that you guys have been getting that there is a demand for the service that you're doing with the coaching. I actually want to just dig in a little bit deeper. How often are you getting these messages? How often are you guys how many people are really reaching out to be like, yo, we want to get some training, some coaching? How regular is that happening?
You have quite a few testimonials on your website now.
Yeah.
Is it free? How are you guys going?
Yeah, I mean, I start. So maybe for myself, I have a bit less DM than Zeptile, because Zeptile really marketing himself as the coach, because he used to be a coach in TFT. So right, he's the expert. As for me, well, I had Mike who literally asked me out for coaching in a Illuvi talk. So, so yeah, that's how I coached him. And that's how I got the testimonial for him. So yeah, we get a bit. I mean, I personally get a bit from there and there, Twitter, Discord. Well, Illuvital, right? But that's how we figure out that there are people who wants that. So go ahead, Zach.
As of myself, the last few weeks I had stated on my Twitter profile that DMs were open to book a session, and every 2 days, someone was actually coming and jumping into my DMs and say, "Oh, how much does it cost? I'm kind of interested." Some people actually came asking for a coaching that didn't have the private beta one access yet, so they are kind of in waiting room.
Sure. Oh yeah, because that is the
Every time,
problem. Yeah.
yeah. Every time I appear on a stream like that as well, I used to get some DMs, and yeah, basically the time I spend on coachings now is either new people like those, or actually I have 2-3 people that actually just constantly keep booking more sessions, which is very encouraging for me because it just makes me feel like I'm actually bringing them value out of their money, which is very good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. That's good to know. Yeah, I didn't expect at all to that you guys have people without private beta messaging you. That's super keen. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right. So it's good to know that there is a demand for it. And actually, I'm going to use that to kind of pivot into the next thing I want to talk about is somewhat how are you guys planning to expand in the future with the evolution of Illuvium as a whole as well? So we were kind of talking before this previously, and I know it's hard to give a direct answer without knowing all the details. But as a business, because uh, I'm super interested in just the business mindset, right? So if you treat this as a business, and say for example, now we have Illuvium Zero coming out in a couple of weeks, to a month, give or take. Uh, would your coaching expand to that? Would you guys like to expand that by doing it yourselves? Would you like to kind of reach out and build up that brand of Illuvium.coach? Where do you guys see that going? Because with the expansion of Illuvium in general, they're going to have the Mario Kart game, Smash Brothers game, Diablo game. I was going to keep talking about those ones, but because the opportunity for you guys as a coaching brand is massive, right? Have you guys considered that at all? What are your thoughts there?
I mean, I'm just going to say something is like what we've built with Illuvium is just the beginning. Obviously, we have thought about all of this. Right now, there's no, it's not relevant to try to offer Illuvium Zero coaching or Illuvium Overworld coaching or whatever, right? So that's why we start with the auto battler. This is where we are the best at, and this is where people, I mean, this is the only part where people can play, right? Obviously, we are completely open-minded about what we can actually provide as knowledge, value, everything we can provide, we will try. And we will just adapt to the market, let's say, or rather Illuvium. We will adapt to Illuvium, we will adapt to the game, we will adapt to what the community wants, we will also adapt to what we learn, because yes, we are only pro at TFT right now, but it doesn't mean we were going to be bad, let's say at Illuvium Zero, right? We both have lands now, so we will play the game for sure. And I will make content on it. I will make content on it for sure because I'm a content creator, right? So yeah, definitely. If I see that my knowledge I've accumulated can be of help to some people, yeah, maybe I can open some coaching as well on this, as long as I feel confident about it and I have the time, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
The thing is, Frobay and I, and that's why we actually partner together, is because we have the same mindset on the fact that the first is that the customer, or at least the member of the community first, meaning that we are really willing to put some high quality on what we do, and we won't do anything we don't feel confident about the quality of our service. That's for sure. Like that's not the way we want to treat people. And but other than that, yes, we are flexible and okay to pivot and make the adjustments down the road according to how Illuvium evolves, how the deadline evolves, what they come up with, because there's a lot of unknown yet, and we are actually more thrilled to see what's going to happen and ready to adapt in case we need, than trying to make a plan with half the information missing.
Of course. And actually, something that I'm curious about as well, about the future of Illuvium, and I'm interested to get your take on it. Both of you guys are big on. Okay, so the first question: what are the big order battlers? Because I've never played order battlers in my life. So I know that there's now Illuvium, TFT, and Dota Underlords. Are there
Yeah,
any
you
other
said
like
them.
major? That's it. It's just three.
Yeah, and the third one is kind of dead. There's no update
Yeah,
since
yeah,
like
it's dead
years ago.
already. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, we don't even need to mention the name then. All right, so there's three. And Illuvium is one of those. So if you take that away, it's two. So the question I want to ask is, both of you guys being from the TFT world, how like what made you guys come across? And second, like how long do you think it's gonna take for the general TFT or Dota
Underlords.
Underlords player? How long do you think it's going to take them to kind of see what's happening here and maybe come across? Do you think it's going to be a quick thing that they kind of just all going to come through quickly? Do you think it's going to be a slow burn? It's going to take months, maybe years for that transition to happen. What do you guys think about that? And how does Illuvium actually compare to those other two in regards to an auto battler? Like, is it like par for par? Is it much better? Like, because I've got no experience in that, so I'm gonna trust you guys.
So okay, so I think in the TFT top player French community, they all know about Illuvium. They all have heard at least once about Illuvium. Some of them are more interested. Some of them already have their access to the private beta, and some of them are more like conservative. Like, I'll wait how it's going to be when it's launched, and I'll try at this moment. So, but I think most of them like already know about Illuvium because, like I said earlier, TFT has a lot of problems for competitive players. Every competitive TFT competitive player is looking for something else, but right now there's nothing else. Obviously, in the future there's Illuvium that will come, and that's why they all, just like me, just like Zeptile, we all looked at it as like, this could be actually the game we want as a competitive player. Now, if we talk about the casual player, I think it's going to be much harder and longer because, like I said, TFT is more and more designed for casual players, and they do it very well. Honestly, there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of animation, cool stuff, whatever, fun and RNG. So casual players like this kind of stuff, and yeah, I think it will take a lot of time for these people to move into Illuvium, especially that like, as competitive players, we have a mindset like it's fine to kind of have to, let's say, spend a lot of time or pay in order to have the deck in order to play competitively. But for casual player, it's much harder psychologically to get to that, to go through this barrier. So I can see that it takes a lot of time. I can actually see also that it might happen during a bear market where everything is very cheap because just the prices are lower, so they have more access to the game. I think that could be the opportunity of entry for these people, but you take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Zeptile, agree, disagree? What are your thoughts?
I totally agree. We know because we still have links and connections with the top players, at least the top French players of TFT. So we know they pretty much all have their eyes on Illuvium. They are kind of waiting just to see where I go fully on it or not. Most of them have been pretty quiet, even though some are still building their own guild and stuff like that. So there are people coming from the TFT scene other than us that are already in the space, even though they've just been more quiet. But I think that the mainstream adoption, like the whole TFT community to move on to Illuvium, are a big portion of it. It's going to take definitely some time because it has to do with just mainstream adoption of NFT gaming, and that's maybe it goes fast, but maybe it doesn't. We don't know yet, but it's going to take some time for sure, I think.
So the last major thing I think we want to start to talk about is the evolution of survival mode potentially. And so we've already had one major patch. I think the audience is already pretty familiar with that, with changing of some of the costs and
The hyper.
that was the big one, and hyper and stuff changing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sure. So we could talk about that a little bit. But the thing I do want to touch on is because the dev blog came out recently. Again, everyone should go read that. It's really, really good. And it had a few really key lines about the state of the game. Firstly, that Crimson Waste is finished, effectively finished, let's say. But the other thing was that they have finished 100 illuvials, right? It said something along those lines. We don't know to what degree. Maybe their omegas aren't built yet and stuff like that. But from my understanding, pretty much all the T5s and maybe a handful of others like the Mammoth and things like that. I mean, not T5s, T0s and the Mammoth and things like that are probably ready. And we even saw leaks of those some of those T0s that we hadn't seen before. The frog one, that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Flishy, right? I think his name is Flishy.
We had this. We had Volant and
Volante,
others, Links.
Volante, yeah.
The
T0s look amazing, right? Like the
Yeah.
T0s actually look mental. Like they look
Big shout out to the team there, because we could expect T0s, like the free stuff, to look kind of cheap, and less effort, but they didn't fall for the trap and they did it very well. So big shout out to the team there.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, so
you can say it again.
I might be loading this a bit too much now, but the other thing we've seen is we saw that screenshot with there's 60 augments. I'm probably wrong, 30. There's a lot of them. It looks like a lot of them. And they're really interesting. They've got offensive, defensive, and support-based augments and things like that. And they're probably also going to be added to the game soon as well. Mm-hmm. The bottom line I'm asking, but I want you guys to go deeper, is do you think survival mode will be unrecognizable in 4 weeks? Or when this stuff drops in a month or two?
Frobay,
yes. Yeah, the way we play right now is going to be irrelevant after this patch with augments, because it will cost mastery point to have augments. We don't know the effects of these augments. First of all, we don't even know,
We've seen one of them.
We've seen 68 augments, by the way, guys. I just
but the effect.
No, I saw one. He posted it in leaked discussion. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something like boost, give poison to your opponent, boost poison illuvials or something like that. So they can be really detailed. They can be really detailed.
It's the augment.
But we saw as well that the flea mechanic would probably be linked to an augment.
That is true.
It is. They already said that. It is.
Yeah, so there are some very interesting augments, I'd say, because some might just change the way a unit behaves, just like the flea mechanic. Some other just might be a rough boost of stats. I think it's kind of like we are kind of learning the game step by step, It started very simple without the hyper, then they implemented the hyper, then they will implement augments and stuff. And I don't know, like if some people actually are familiar to the Pokemon scene, just feel like, okay, let's say you play Pokemon Go and the types are very basic. You have no abilities, you have no, and all you have to do to play is just press the button as fast as you can. And then you slowly go up and add up abilities and everything. So we are just adding new layers of complexity to the game, and I feel like the more it will add on, the better the game will just become, and the more skill expression as well we will have, because the more decisions we have to make and the more skill expression.
Yeah, 100%.
So we can see here.
So I'll just read this one out. Actually, you can't really read it. I can read it because it's on my screen and stuff. But let me just read out the first one. Now, I believe a lot of this is placeholders. I think the stage 2 and 3 are all going to be more expensive than stage 1. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So the first one says this: enemies within 15 hexes are inflicted with frost every second. I don't know what frost is.
It's something we haven't seen yet. I guess it's something similar to poison or burn. It's like a status that would that has effects, deal damage. We don't know.
Yeah. And the next bit says, and I don't know if this refers to the enemy or yourself, but it says, on being hit, holders gain 3 agility.
Holders means that it's the one that has the augment.
Yeah, max 15 stacks.
Exactly.
Yeah, they gain 3 agility, but does it mean when you hit an opponent? I don't know.
No, when you get hit.
When you get hit, you get agility. So since Frost is made of a combination of air and water, we can see this as a good augment to actually make your Frost being even better at what he already does.
Yeah.
Because I would expect the way that we've seen the composites interact together now, they're kind of like a mix of what it already does. So I would see something Frost to be kind of like Spore. Like every time you dodge, maybe you get some mana regen instead of some healing. Some stuff like that.
Can you
It
imagine?
seems logical for me. So when I see this augment, also with the name and stuff, it just feels like very Frost oriented, and we don't know. Like maybe you want to put that on a fire illuvial just to give him an extra layer of complexity, or you will add it to a frost illuvial just to make it even better at what he does already. We don't know.
I think the first thing that came to my mind was something that's dies really fast that could really benefit from being able to dodge. That's what I would give it to, because you already have that problem. Some of your things like Vermilion,
I would give it to a
the
big tank.
agility,
Yeah.
I think something like Vermilion would be really bad if it didn't dodge all the time. You know what I mean? What do you think, Frobay?
Yeah, I would put rather that on a tank, because if you put on something that's squishy, you won't have the time to get the 15 stacks
15
of
stacks,
agility.
yeah.
That's like 45 agility. That looks like a lot. I don't know. Like I think if you have 3 air, it gives like 15 agility. So
Yeah.
that's actually a lot.
Yeah.
I think we have this big polar bear illuvial that looks like a breezer tank. I think this augment looks like very designed for this guy, even we don't know about anything about it. It's just like, because actually what you don't see, Zep, is like the tier 2 and the tier 3 of this augment allows the holder to block the first omega with the tier 2.
Crazy.
Okay.
And the tier 3, the holder blocks 2 omega ability.
So much.
It's an item for Titanor. It's an item for Titanor.
For me, it's really for a tank, like to make your tank tankier.
Tank.
By dodging more, by making sure that he can block omega abilities, and by the fact he can apply frost to a zone around it. So if you put it in the backline, you just apply to no one. He really needs to be inside the team, the enemy team, to apply frost. We don't know what it does, but I guess it's a good effect, right? You want to use it. So I think
I would
for
say
this specific reason,
tank item.
Yeah, exactly. For this specific reason, I think with these augments, if they are all designed kind of similarly, it means that we have to play differently. We have to think differently. We have to build our team differently, position differently as well, in order to maximize the value of these augments, because we have to pay with mastery points. Here, 12 is a placeholder. Of course, it's not going to be this price. We don't know exactly how much it will cost, but like we can expect for tier 3, it will be as expensive as a good illuvial, right?
Yeah.
So it's a trade-off. Oh, I can't put this illuvial, instead I want to have this augment. And this kind of thing we don't have it now. That's why it's going to be completely different.
Yeah. That's the thing is, one point I wanted to add to what you said is also about why we want that on a tank also. It's just because on the value you get from this augment. This augment basically, let's say you have something that dies in 3 hits, but it will dodge 2 times. Okay, cool. It survived 5 hits. We still take the same stats. We take a Titanor that is supposed to survive 40 hits at least. Then you will dodge 100 hits. I'd rather have this augment to make me dodge 100 hits, right? Like it seems better value for my money, for my mastery points.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's all the augments there from like indefinitely, pretty much. I don't think they're going to plan on adding any more just yet. Keeping in mind the legendary augments you cannot obtain, and they're for specific game modes and things. I don't think we'll touch on them today, but it's really interesting because you actually need to collect these augments.
Yep.
It should be fun.
It's like it honestly feels like a trading card game. It really
I
does.
think you collect and you forge them with Solon, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
Actually, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Yeah. Everything about this, and what blows me away as well, guys, is from the feedback that I've already heard about Illuvium compared to other auto battler games. I've heard that the depth of Illuvium as it is already incredibly high. And once we start actually implementing augments, more alluvials, everything, like it just seems insane how deep we can really go. And like what you always say, Frobay, and I agree with you, is the player skill expression. That's the one, right?
Yeah.
Skill expression.
Yeah, skill expression.
Yeah, it's just gonna be insane. Like, and I think it's super exciting because you're gonna have people like me doing the stupid couscous thing. I know Vulcan wants to do like a whole line of like snailies and stuff. I know like we're gonna have these stupid comps, but the actual comps and the expressiveness that we could do that and build our own decks to really represent us and the way that we like to play. I think it's gonna be super exciting, and maybe it might not be as grand in the first like maybe 6 months, but I think after a year, 2 years, people start to get it. We have more augments, more illuvials, the mixing and matching. I think the depth that it can go into is unparalleled. Like I honestly can't think of something else. Again, I always go back to like Smash Bros, but even that like is capped at some point because like there's so many characters, but you can play them so differently. But in this, you're mixing and matching them to play a certain deck, and it's just it seems nuts. It seems nuts.
I think strategy games are different again though because they allow anyone to play, right? Regardless of what you say, someone who's a bit older is probably going to suffer against someone that's a bit younger in a very action-packed game. Their reflexes, the way they hold the controller or use the controller and things like that, it's just going to be different. And obviously there are many exceptions to this rule. But if you're putting this in a strategy game as its own thing, and I love the idea of no RNG. That is one thing 100%. Action games do have. They have very little RNG.
Yeah.
But the one RNG that something like this actually does eliminate that action games have is what I would call connection RNG. You go to a shooter and they've got a better internet connection than you, they're going to win.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or if you're in China and you use VPN, you're not going to be left behind.
in any strategy or turn-based game, you don't have that. So it's the first time, I think it's the first competitive game in existence that has no RNG of any kind. When I don't know, I can't think of another. If you want to correct me, leave a comment down below. Except chess. Chess is a good one.
Yeah.
True.
Yes.
There are games like that. But even it trips me out when you say that about the reflexes and stuff. That's I love Smash, man. Like the some of the top players coming up now, they're kids, man. Like they're actually kids. I'm watching this 14-year-old guy play Minecraft Steve, destroying the top players, and the crowd is going mental, man. They're going nuts.
Yeah.
And this kid's just popping off like this little boy. It's hilarious to watch.
Like he's crushing people that have been in the scene for more than 20 years, and they've been
longer
crushing
than he's been
the
alive.
scene.
Yeah,
they've been crushing the scene for longer than he's been alive. As you said, the guy wasn't even born that they were playing Melee already.
Yeah,
and I love to see that. And that's also something to figure out about the whole auto battler thing, is that the genre is very new. Like basically the genre as 3 to 4 years old. I don't know how long it was since Dota Underlords came up, but it's been 2 years since TFT. So the genre is very new, but if you compare to the maturity of a community and what they are able to do to a older genre like versus fighting games or shooters or even racing games, it's very different. And I can totally accept and see a world where in 10 years maybe I've been used to dominate the scene, I don't know. But then a 12 years old kid just comes and crushes me up and just makes a meta shift on his own. That kind of things happen.
Frobay's son.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say something. The first TFT World Championship had 16 years old at this moment. Everyone is like more than 20. Yeah, he came and like destroyed everyone. Like, who is this high schooler?
He came out of nowhere, for real. Like.
So this can happen in Illuvium, of course, as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm really excited to see that kind of things happen because I think it really makes part of the charm of esports, you know?
Mm-hmm. And it's just like when audience members watch it, like it's like that underdog story, right? When you see a child beat like adults, everyone if you're rooting against the child, you're just a bad person. Like you want to see it happen.
Right.
You want to see him do well. Him or her,
Actually, it's a really interesting topic you bring up because Pokemon had a similar problem this year, right? So in the past few years, the Pokemon World Championships has been held in America somewhere. I think it's in California. I'm probably wrong. Held in America somewhere, the Pokemon World Championships. There was 1 year, or maybe two, I think there was 1 year, where because of COVID, they actually did host it online. the turnout for all the tournaments to earn championship points that year were like tenfold higher. They were way, way higher because just the monetary cost of going to America to participate was a factor. And as soon as people had the opportunity to participate in the World Championship on the internet, it was something like, I listen to a lot of Pokemon podcasts sometimes, but it was something like the top 20 players had never been seen in a World Championship before, right? And in the past World Championships, there's half the list is always recurring players. So it just shows how different the world is and how there's so many barriers for people with esports. But I hope that this is a good step forward once we start to enter VR and going into stadiums and VR and stuff. It'd be really interesting.
Because some of the limitations you have got age, like maybe parents don't want their kids going out like that, or you've got money,
fees,
like there's so many things. Like, man, you're maybe from a poorer country, so like the idea is not even a possibility. Like, again, I keep going back to Smash because that's where I know, but like the best players are in Mexico or Japan, but they can't be flying out to America every to compete, right? And it's just stupid. But all right, cool. Yo, we're hitting up on that hour mark, and I do want to kind of close this off as well. Let's end up with what I said before. Let's go around, and I want to hear your top 5 illuvials based on skill. I know Frobay just did a really good tier list, and I tried to call him out on it with my video, but I couldn't disagree with anything he said. So, but no, yeah, let's go around. We'll start with you, Zeptile. We'll go Frobay, and we'll go around.
Okay.
Top 5.
So
top 5.
Top 5 illuvials in skill expression. Rated by skill expression, I said Cuculus. Cuculus is a very good line. I like Cuculus more than any other stage, really the stage 2, because Kaka doesn't have Enchanter, and that's one of the reasons I value Cuculus so much. And Kukurov takes way too much time to make his Omega ability, so I really hate Kukurov. But I love Cuculus. Cuculus is just the perfect middle ground. It applies the shield to the whole team. It does a big stun. It redirects your team to what you want it to attack, and it does it really, really well. Second one in skill expression, I love Riplant and Ripteris, just because you can play them at many places on the field.
Now you got to pick one of them.
I love Seer, and I'm gonna put 2 together at this point. Seer and Axodon, they are good off tanks that highly depend on the positioning you use for them to actually get full advantage of what they can do. There's a tiny limit in between what they can handle as damage and what they can't. And if you just play with that line, they just become monsters, honestly. Then I would say everything that heals, like Arcos Arcelion, because there's a right moment to play them, and stuff like Arcos Arcelion tend to ask you to pack around them, but it's actually sometimes a wrong choice. So that also adds more skill expression. And in top 5 of a skill expression, I would say Rogues in a general way. Just Rogues ask a lot of skill expression, in my opinion.
Right. That was a lot more than a top 5, but valid. Frobay, let's go, man.
Yeah. Do you want also based on skill expression or just like how powerful, like I did on my tier list?
Whatever you think, man. Honestly, whatever you want to say.
I'm gonna
let you express yourself freely.
I mean, if I look at my playlist, on my tier list, it's like I think I put Titaner and Adorius top because they are easy to play, they are efficient. You don't need anything else. They will work no matter what, right? You can't badly play them somehow.
Give me a chance.
Huh?
Give me a chance. I'll show you how to play them badly.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that. Show me.
This guy plays C4 in frontline.
Yeah, because Adorius you can even put in frontline if you want. There are some good situations where you can do that. Yeah. So that's why I really like this unit. It's a good tank, support, utility, and gives also Omega ability to your units. Then after, if I go with, I mean, let's say more like cheeky ones, like you already said Cuculus. I really like Cuculus. I'm not talking about Kuka or Kukuraf, Cuculus. I like Vermi, and... Oh, wait, I have only one more. Okay, Vermeer, I really like it. For like the small unit you put somewhere to bother one big unit, you know, like you're like, hey, you're not gonna play, you're like this for the whole fight.
Yeah.
Just I don't know, I just love it.
I'm gonna make a clip of this though.
I was imitating the tail of Vermeer. And then finally we lost the time.
Yeah.
And then finally I think it's Arky, the one I really like because it really doesn't cost anything and you just need to put it behind your tanks. It will heal your tanks and that will tank like 5 to 10 seconds more thanks to that, and it's done its job and you don't need to pack around it. It doesn't matter. It's very, very flexible if you see it that way, and I think that's why I like it.
Right. Yo, Scoriox, what do you recommend?
Okay, so this is mostly power based, not so much skill expression, but I think Furiox right at the top. I think that thing is a monster for what it costs. It's just too good. Scoriox comes second in this case. Third is definitely Goliant. That thing is insane. It's way better than Titanor in my opinion. And then you've got the only problem with Goliant compared to Titanor is the distance of its Omega. But besides that, it's solid. I'd probably put maybe Titanor next at 4. So those two lines are pretty solid overall. And at the end, you know what? I think I'm going to actually chuck in Sia or whatever the final one is. I think Sia is the final one.
Sia's the final one.
So this is your
changed
tier
a
list
bit
for
with
power.
hype, mostly, but like I don't know.
I just think the top one. You forgot
I think
the
they're
top
just
one.
good. The top one was Furiox.
No, top one is Runfire.
No.
Runfire is just a beast. It's a monster. Yeah,
No,
you
he dies
cannot
too
tell.
fast. He's useless.
You can't say that thing is not the top one Illuvial.
No, it's not just
It's actually
hard.
the strongest
I
one.
mean, like how good they are and stuff. I think Ramfire needs like a really good synergy around it to do that job that it needs to do.
Yeah. Me and Frobay were saying it's conditional. You need to know how to play it properly. Otherwise, if it doesn't get its Omega off, it's kind of a waste.
Yeah, but I think the last one's probably Seer. There are many times I've put that Seer at the back of my line and it's killed or done enough damage to earn its keep. You know what I mean? Like sometimes that's what it's about. That's what it's about in Pokemon. And I take a lot of those lessons across. It's just about getting the value. If you get 60 mastery points worth of value out of it, it doesn't really matter if it dies. It did its job. Any Illuvial that gets less than its mastery points worth in value, then that Illuvial didn't do its job. And that's the
exactly.
one. And then that's how you lose. It's just who got the most value. The one who got the most value wins. And that's Hearthstone as well, I think, is a big proponent of that. If you have a 3-cost card, it kills a 4-cost card, then you're effectively 1 cost in value above your opponent.
Exactly.
It's very easy to structure it in a game like that. It's harder in this, but you get the idea. I think Augments are going to be interesting with that too.
That's a very interesting way to see the game. I'd like to congratulate you for that, because a lot of people actually don't understand that a unit dying after doing its job, it's actually a good thing. Like, or at least okay. You know, like it's just getting the value out of your unit. We tend to say in TFT that the right value for one unit is if you manage to get his Omega off.
Yeah.
Every unit's supposed to get 1 cast off at least. If one of your units didn't cast, then you messed up something.
Yeah. So for my one, I also want to say that I understand this concept. No, I don't. I've been trying to understand it a bit more and consider that. But yeah, so my top 5 is not going to be based on skill expression or strength. It's just going to be based on what I think is dope. So number 1, I'm actually going to go with you guys and say Cuculus, the second one, because I agree with exactly what you're saying. I think it's a 3.5 second stun. And that is, Frobay, I just noticed we both have the light coming in now.
Yeah, it's morning.
Yeah.
The sun is rising.
Yeah. So, no, I think, so Cuculus, because the 3.5 second stun is heavy, plus the shields is nuts. And Kukuraf takes way, way, way too long to get it up. It's just stupid. So I agree with that. Cuculus number 1. Titanor number 2. I've been using Titanor in a different. I've been caring more about its position and understanding where its stun is going to go to try and maximize the amount of stuns. Because I think stunning in this game is super, super important because it just neutralizes the board and it gives you those couple of extra seconds. So I don't always use Titan or Frontline now. I try to place him where I think he's going to be most effective in regards to taking the damage, but also getting the most amount of stuns, especially if I'm trying to take out, like, if there's a duelist in the back line or something like that. So Cuculus, Titanor, I have to go Adorius. Adorius is just, I don't need to say much. It's just way too powerful for no reason. Vermilion, I think his survivability is insane. And just like the ability to, if you play him properly, again, like he gets his Omega off once or twice, they're like he's one hitting a bunch of people. It's not just one unit he takes out. If you place him and position him well, one of his Omegas can take out 3 units, and it's just absurd. Like, no unit should be able to do that. That's just crazy. And the final one is hard for me to say. I want to say C first, but I'm actually not going to. And I also want to say Atlas, but I'm not going to. I'm going to say Axodon. And I've actually started to like Axodon a lot more recently, just based on how to play him. Because I used to think that with Bulwark, it meant he was a frontline tank. And that's obviously not how I won't say obviously, but I just recently learned that's not how you play him. It makes more sense to be maybe second line or even third line, where he can attack without aggroing the enemy, allowing him to get his shield Omega off and that exploding, causing that damage. So using Axodon properly in that way, I think is super effective. So that would be my top 5. What did I say? I said Cuculus, Titanor, Adorius, Vermilion, and Axodon. So it seems like I really like tankiness and survivability.
And tier 3,
my gameplay.
I mean, stage 3s.
No, Cuculus stage 2. But yes,
except for stage 2.
Yeah.
Except for Cuculus.
Yeah. That would be mine. Yeah, cool.
All right, so let's start to wrap this up.
Let's wrap it up, man. I'll let you take it home, man.
Yeah. Thanks both of you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. Bro, he's got a lot of sun on his face now.
And Frobey's moving more and more every second.
Yeah. It's called magic.
Thanks Heath for joining us. We're going to put Illuvium.coach down in the description down below. There's a lot of great stuff on there. They're both really good guys. Personally, I'd say wait a little bit to see as the game progresses. But I'm seeing you guys coming a lot more into demand in the future for sure. And who knows, I might even be booking my own coaching session at one point. I mean, I don't have the time to learn the game sometimes. So getting that head start is always nice. Obviously, big thanks to Illuvium for sponsoring the show. We really appreciate it. Again, go check out any new articles and things in the description. We don't know what they're going to be yet. But there's going to be a lot of wild stuff, especially if the overworld starts to leak. Right after this, like we're about to have it right now, is the community event's about to start. Jump in the Discord, DM us, whatever. We're going to stream it on here too. There's going to be a lot going on. Fun game of Jackbox, $500-$600 in prizes to be won. All right, and don't forget to go and find the Illuvial. It'll be an Augment clip sometime in June. Good luck, everyone.
Awesome.
See you guys.
All right,
See ya.
peace out,
Thank you
guys.
very much.
Peace.
And see you.